Way before we had movies or TV or even the phone in your pocket, there was this other kind of multimedia, and it was incredibly powerful. I'm talking about the illustrated book. This wasn't just reading, it was this totally immersive experience where the words and the pictures teamed up to create whole worlds right there in your head. So let's really dig into this art of visual storytelling, and we're going to do it by looking at one of the most famous examples out there, the illustrated Bible.
So when you look at something like this, it's so much more than just a book with a few pictures dropped in here and there. No way. This was a completely designed experience. The artists, the printers, they weren't just trying to tell you a story. Their goal was way bigger. They wanted to grab hold of your imagination, to actually shape how you felt, and to make these words from thousands of years ago feel like they were happening right now. And that really brings us to the big question, right? I mean, think about it. You've got a whole chapter of a story. It's packed with action, dialogue, what people are thinking, all of it. How on earth do you take all of that and boil it down into one single picture? A picture that has to capture the entire vibe of that moment. Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
All right, first up, a moment of kindness. We're going to see how an artist translates a simple narrative into a powerful piece of art. Okay, so here's the setup from the book of Genesis. Abraham's servant meets Rebekah at a well. The text reads, "And she said, 'Drink, my lord.' She said, 'I will draw water for thy camels also, until they have done drinking.' And she hasted and emptied her pitcher into the trough." Now, you got to understand, this is a huge deal. Offering to water his camels, we're talking about a whole caravan of them. It's an incredible act of generosity. So, before I show you the artwork, just try to picture that scene in your head. What do you see?
And here it is. This is what the artist came up with. This is that magic trick we're talking about, turning words into a picture. See, the artist didn't try to show the whole long process of watering the camels. Instead, they zoomed in on that one critical instant, the offer itself. It's all about that quiet, intimate connection between these two people, a moment that changes everything. It's subtle, but absolutely packed with meaning. Okay, let's break down how the artist pulls this off. They're basically giving us visual clues that tie directly back to the text. First, look at the picture. It's right there in the middle. It's the key object, right? Then you've got the well, so we know exactly where we are. And look at Rebekah's pose. She's actively offering the water. And then, way off in the background, there are the camels. That little detail reminds you just how big of a task she's offering to do. Nothing here is an accident. Every single detail is a choice made to tell that story without a single word.
All right, next up, an impossible choice. Now we're really going to ramp up the intensity. We're moving from a quiet moment of kindness to something emotionally shattering. The artist's job here isn't just to show an action, it's to show a heart-wrenching internal conflict.
The text itself is just chilling. It's so simple. "And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son." I mean, wow, that one sentence is the absolute peak of this terrible test of faith. So just put yourself in the artist's shoes for a second. Your job is to draw that. Where do you even start? How do you possibly capture that on paper?
So here you have it, side by side. On the one hand, you've got the words, brutal, direct, to the point. And on the other, the image. Now, the artist knew they couldn't just draw a guy with a knife. That wouldn't even come close. They had to make some really specific choices to get across the terror, the faith, the sheer divine drama of it all. The picture has to carry all the emotional weight that the text just hints at. So how do they do it? It's all about layering in that emotional detail. Okay, zoom in on Abraham's face. It's not just determination you see there, it's pure anguish. The knife is raised high, right? That freezes the scene at the moment of highest tension. But then, look up. You see that light breaking through the clouds? That's a visual cue, a hint of divine intervention. And then, almost hidden down in the corner, there's the ram. That's the key. It's the symbol of hope, the way out.
Okay, for our last example, we're shifting gears completely. We've seen an action, we've seen a powerful emotion. Now, let's look at a lesson in faith. How do you illustrate a concept? And this is a really fascinating problem for an artist, isn't it? I mean, a story is one thing. You've got characters, a setting, things happening. But how do you draw an idea? How do you draw faith or trust? It's not something you can see. It's a real challenge.
Well, here's one solution. This image is based on the parable of the lilies of the field. That's a story Jesus tells to teach a lesson about not worrying so much, about trusting that you'll be taken care of. So the artist is smart. They don't try to draw trust as a floating word or something.
No, they build a whole scene that represents that idea.
And you can see the strategy here, it's brilliant. You've got Jesus, clearly the teacher, right in the middle. You've got the crowd, who are basically stand-ins for us, the audience, listening in. But the most important part? Those lilies in the foreground. They're not just pretty flowers. They are the concrete visual anchor for the whole abstract lesson. The artist gives you something real to look at to help you remember the idea of faith.
All right, so we've looked at 3 totally different things: a simple action, a powerful emotion, and an abstract idea. What does this all tell us about the power of a picture? What's the role of art as an interpreter?
Here's the bottom line, and it's really important. These illustrations, they do way more than just show you what happened. They are designed to tell you how to feel about it. The artwork is never neutral. It's always an interpretation. Every choice the artist makes, the lighting, the facial expressions, what's in focus, it's all there to steer your emotional reaction. It's like a director for your imagination, adding this whole other layer of meaning to the words on the page.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about, right? Today, we are just flooded with images. You've got AI art popping up everywhere, your social media feed is a never-ending scroll. So it makes you wonder, who are the illustrators shaping our stories today? Who's picking the images that go with the news we read or the posts we see? And how are their choices shaping what we believe and how we feel about, well, everything?